They call me retired. My wife called me passive. Her boss built his empire in my building, on my code, with her blessing. At the company party, I dropped my badge. He picked it up, read my name, and froze. "Does your wife know who you are?" He whispered. She knew who I was. She just forgot what I'm capable of. My name is Gregory Lansing. I'm 50 years old, and for the last 5 years, people have assumed I've been doing nothing. They're wrong. I've been watching, waiting, building something they couldn't see because they stopped looking. 12 years ago, I built CoreStream, a backend infrastructure that powered half the e-commerce platforms you've probably used without knowing it. Payment processing, inventory management, order fulfillment, all running on architecture I designed in a cramped apartment with coffee-stained notebooks and a whiteboard covered in diagrams. I scaled it, sold it for $340 million, and walked away. No press releases, no victory laps, just a quiet exit and a life I thought would be simpler. Michelle, my wife of 26 years, loved the money, hated the quiet. She'd built her identity around being married to someone important, someone moving. When I stopped moving, she started looking elsewhere for that energy. Enter Blake Patterson, her new boss at Velocity Hub, a startup promising to revolutionize online retail with AI-powered commerce solutions. He was everything I wasn't anymore: loud, ambitious, always performing. Michelle ate it up. 3 years ago, Velocity Hub moved into a building in downtown Seattle. Beautiful space, exposed brick floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of place that screams, "We're disrupting everything." What Michelle didn't know, what Blake didn't know, was that I owned that building. Not directly, of course. Through a trust, Sentinel Properties LLC, registered in Delaware, managed by a firm in Denver. The lease was signed by people who never connected the dots between Gregory Lansing and the portfolio that funded their perfect startup headquarters. Tonight was their annual company party. Michelle insisted I come. "It'll be good for you to get out," she said, which really meant, "I need you there so people know I'm still married." I went, stood in the corner nursing a glass of whiskey I didn't want, watching my wife laugh at Blake's jokes, touching his arm, leaning in close. Our 3 kids weren't there. Liam was traveling for work, Emma was finishing her MBA semester, and Lucas was at college. Just me, invisible in a room full of people who didn't see me. That's when it happened. I shifted my weight, and my wallet slipped from my jacket pocket. It hit the marble floor with a sharp slap, and my building access badge tumbled out, sliding across the polished surface. Before I could move, Blake was there, bending down with that practiced smile he probably used on investors. He picked up the badge, glanced at it casually, and then froze. Not a pause, a full freeze. His eyes locked on the name embossed on the plastic. G. Lansing, Sentinel Properties, owner access. His face went white. Actually white, like someone had drained the blood straight from his skull. His hand started shaking, and he looked up at me with an expression I'd never seen on him before. Fear. He stood slowly, holding the badge between 2 fingers like it might explode. The noise of the party faded into background static. Blake's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Then, in a voice so low only I could hear, he whispered, "Sir, does your wife know who you are?" I held his gaze. Didn't smile, didn't frown. Just let the silence stretch until it became uncomfortable. Then I reached out, took the badge from his trembling hand, and slipped it back into my wallet. "She knows exactly who I am," I said quietly. "The question is, do you?" Blake stepped back like I'd shoved him. His eyes darted around the room, looking for an escape, looking for Michelle, looking for anything that made sense. But nothing did anymore, because in that moment, he realized he'd been playing a game on a board I owned. Michelle appeared at his elbow, champagne in hand, oblivious. "Everything okay?" she asked brightly. Blake's voice came out strangled. "Fine. I need to make a call." He practically ran toward the balcony, phone already in his hand. Michelle turned to me, confused. "What was that about?" I took a sip of whiskey. "I think Blake just remembered something important." She narrowed her eyes but didn't push. The music swelled, someone clinked a glass for a toast, and the party rolled on. But something had changed. The foundation had shifted, and I hadn't said a word. Michelle was quiet in the car. Not the comfortable silence we used to share 20 years ago, but the kind that sits between 2 people who've stopped really talking. She scrolled through her phone, double-tapping photos from the party, while I drove through Seattle's rain-slick streets. Blake seemed off tonight, she finally said, not looking up. I kept my eyes on the road. Did he? Yeah. Like something spooked him. She glanced at me. You didn't say anything to him, did you? We barely spoke. Greg. Her tone sharpened. What happened when he picked up your wallet? He returned it. That's all. She went quiet again, but I could feel her studying me. After 26 years of marriage, you learn to read the silences. This one had suspicion in it. We pulled into our driveway in Bellevue. The house was dark, empty without the kids. Liam was in Chicago closing a deal, Emma buried in finals at Stanford, Lucas still at Boulder. Just us, rattling around in 5,000 square feet that used to feel full. Michelle went straight upstairs without saying goodnight. I poured myself a scotch and opened my laptop in the study. 3 emails were already waiting, all marked urgent, all from legal firms I'd never heard of. Blake worked fast. The first was a request for documentation regarding Sentinel Properties' ownership structure. The second asked for clarification on lease terms. The third, from Velocity Hub's general counsel, politely inquired about building access protocols and security badge issuance. I smiled. They were scrambling, trying to figure out if what Blake saw was real, trying to find an angle, a way out, a loophole. They wouldn't find one. I'd spent 5 years making sure of that. I opened a separate folder on my desktop. Inside were files I'd been collecting for 8 months. Code repositories, commit logs, architecture diagrams, all showing how Velocity Hub's revolutionary platform was built on CoreStream's foundation. Michelle had access to everything when we were married, back when I trusted her with my work. She'd downloaded documentation, saved schematics, kept copies of technical specifications, said she wanted to understand what I'd built. She understood, all right, understood it well enough to hand it to Blake. I found the email chain from 3 years ago. Michelle to Blake. Attached are the back-end frameworks my husband developed. Could be useful for reference. Blake's response, this is gold. Can we schedule a call? They hadn't stolen code directly. They were too smart for that. They'd reverse-engineered it, rebranded it, wrapped it in a prettier interface, and called it innovation. But the bones were mine. The architecture, the logic patterns, the database structure. All mine. I closed the laptop and walked to the window. Rain drummed against the glass. Somewhere across the city, Blake was probably still awake, making calls, trying to contain what he'd just discovered. He couldn't contain it. The foundation he'd built his company on wasn't his. It was mine, and I was about to prove it. Upstairs, I heard Michelle's phone buzz. Once, twice, 3 times. Then her footsteps, quick and sharp across the bedroom floor. The calls were starting. I woke at 5:30, same as always. Michelle's side of the bed was empty, sheets cold. I found her in the kitchen, already dressed, phone pressed to her ear. She ended the call when she saw me. Blake wants a meet, she said. No good morning, no small talk. He says it's urgent. I poured coffee, took my time adding cream. About what? He wouldn't say. Just that it involves you. Her eyes searched my face. Greg, what's going on? You should ask Blake. I'm asking you. I met her gaze over the rim of my cup. When you gave Blake my CoreStream documentation 3 years ago, did you think I wouldn't find out? The color drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I set down the cup. The back-end frameworks. The database architecture. The API specifications. You emailed them to him. March 2022. Subject line. Could be useful for reference. She took a step back. I was just trying to help. He was struggling with their platform architecture, and I thought, you thought you'd hand him 12 years of my work and call it helping. My voice stayed level calm. That seemed to unsettle her more than yelling would have. Did he pay you? Or was it just about feeling important? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Michelle? She opened her mouth, closed it. Her phone buzzed. Blake's name on the screen. She didn't answer it. Velocity Hub built their entire platform on my architecture. I continued. Every major function, every workflow. They didn't steal code directly. They're too smart for that. But they copied the foundation, rebranded it, and called it innovation. You're paranoid. I have the commit logs. The code repositories. Your email chain with Blake. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screen. Her own words stare back at her. This is gold. She went pale. Blake said it was just inspiration. That we were using it as a reference point. A reference point you never told me about. You weren't interested. You retired, Greg. You walked away. What was I supposed to do? Just stop living because you decided to stop building. You were supposed to not give away what I built to someone who'd use it against me. Her phone rang again. Blake, persistent. This time she answered, walking into the next room. I heard her voice rise, defensive at first, then frightened. When she came back, her hand was shaking. He's being sued, she whispered. Some IP firm out of Delaware filed papers this morning. They're claiming patent infringement, stolen architecture, breach of licensing agreements. Blake thinks you're behind it. He's right. Greg, you can't do this. I already did. I rinsed my cup, set it in the sink. The firm represents Sentinel Properties, which, as Blake now knows, is me. The building he's renting, the foundation his company is built on, all of it. Mine. This will destroy him. He destroyed himself when he built a company on stolen work. Our son works there. Her voice broke. Liam just got promoted. If Velocity Hub goes under, he loses everything. That stopped me. Liam, 25 years old, sharp as they come, worked his way up from junior analyst to senior strategist in 2 years. He'd been so proud when he got that job. Liam's smart, I said quietly. He'll land on his feet. Not if his father destroys the company he works for. She moved closer. Please, Greg, think about what this will do to our family. I looked at her. Really looked. The woman I'd married 26 years ago, who'd stood beside me through the early struggles, the sleepless nights building Core Stream. Somewhere along the way, she'd stopped being my partner and started being someone I didn't recognize. I'm thinking about family, I said. I'm thinking about what you did to ours. Liam called at noon. I was in my study reviewing documents when his name lit up my screen. Dad. His voice was tight, controlled. We need to talk. About why my boss just got served with a lawsuit that mentions your name 17 times. I leaned back in my chair. You read the filing? Everyone in the office read it. It's all anyone's talking about. He paused. Please tell me you're not doing what I think you're doing. What do you think I'm doing? Destroying Velocity Hub because Mom works there. This isn't about your mother. Then what is it about? His frustration bled through. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're blowing up my career to make a point. It's about intellectual property theft. Blake Patterson built his company on architecture I created. Architecture your mother gave him access to without my knowledge or consent. Silence. Then, Mom did what? I explained. The emails, the documentation, the copied frameworks. Liam listened without interrupting, which meant he was processing, thinking it through. He'd always been analytical, even as a kid. How long have you known? He finally asked. 8 months. And you didn't tell me. Would you have believed me? Another pause. I don't know. Blake's been good to me. Promoted me twice. Gave me real responsibility. He's not perfect, but he's not a thief either. He is when he built a business on someone else's foundation. Dad, people iterate on existing technology all the time. That's how innovation works. Not when they copy the entire architecture without permission or compensation. I heard him exhale, long and slow. What do you want me to do? Nothing. This isn't your fight. It is if my job disappears because of it. His voice hardened. I've worked my tail off for 2 years. I earned this position, and now you're going to take it away. Blake took it away when he committed IP theft. No. Liam's tone turned cold. You're taking it away because you can't stand that Mom found something you don't control. That hit harder than I expected. This isn't about control, isn't it? You sold your company, retired, disappeared. Mom moved on. She found work she's good at, people who value her, and you can't handle it. Liam, I have to go. Blake's calling an emergency meeting. The line went dead. I sat there, phone still in my hand, staring at nothing. My son thought I was the villain. Maybe he wasn't entirely wrong. Emma called 3 days later. My middle child, 23, getting her MBA at Stanford, the only one of our 3 kids who'd inherited my analytical mind and Michelle's diplomatic touch. I answered on the second ring. Dad, we need to talk about what you're doing. Liam called you. Liam, Mom, and about 6 of Mom's friends who seem to think you've lost your mind. She paused. Have you? Not yet. Then explain to me why you're destroying a company that employs your son and threatening Mom's career. I told her everything. The stolen architecture, the emails, the years of deception. Emma listened without interrupting, which meant she was taking notes. She always took notes when something was important. Okay, she said when I finished. So Mom screwed up. Massively. And Blake's a thief. But Dad, there's something you need to know. What? I invested in Velocity Hub. $50,000 for my trust fund. Last year, when they opened their Series B to family and friends of employees. My chest tightened. Emma. Mom told me it was solid. Said the company had breakthrough technology and strong fundamentals. I did my due diligence, looked at their financials, their product pipeline. It all checked out. Her voice wavered slightly. I didn't know it was built on your work. Neither did the other investors. How much are you down? If the company folds? Everything. $50,000, Dad. That was supposed to be my safety net after graduation. I closed my eyes. Liam's job, Emma's investment, and Michelle had orchestrated both, putting our children's futures into a company built on stolen foundations. There's more, Emma continued. I've been going through Velocity Hub's public filings for a class project. Dad, their latest investor presentation shows projected revenue of $200 million over the next 3 years. The valuation is sitting at $450 million. That's impossible. Their platform can't scale that fast. It can if it's built on architecture that's already been proven. Your architecture. She paused. Blake isn't just using your work. He's betting the entire company's future on it. And he's raising money based on technology he doesn't own. Who else is invested? Pension funds, family offices, 3 major VCs. Total raise of $90 million in the last round. Papers rustled. Dad, if you pull the IP claim, you're not just hurting Blake. You're wiping out $90 million in investment capital. People will lose everything. People who invested in a fraud. People who didn't know it was a fraud. Her voice hardened. Including your daughter. I stood, walked to the window. Rain was falling again, turning Seattle gray and cold. What would you have me do? Let them keep using my work? No. Make them pay for it. Negotiate a licensing agreement. Take a percentage of revenue. Get yourself on the board. But don't destroy it. She hesitated. Liam's getting married, Dad. That stopped me. What? He proposed to his girlfriend 2 weeks ago. Sarah, the marketing director at Velocity Hub. They met at work. The wedding's next summer. Emma's voice softened. If you destroy the company, you destroy his career and his fiancée's career. You'll be the reason his wedding falls apart. He didn't tell me he was engaged, because he knew you'd react exactly like this. Closed off, making decisions without considering how they affect anyone else. That's not fair, isn't it? You've been planning this for 8 months and never once talked to us about it. Never asked how it might impact our lives. You just decided what was right and started executing. She paused. Mom did the same thing when she gave Blake those files. You're more alike than you think. That cut deeper than anything else she could have said. I need to think about this, I said. Think fast. Lucas called me this morning. He's flying home tomorrow. Why? Because his family's imploding and he wants to fix it. Emma's voice cracked slightly. We're all flying home, Dad. All 3 of us. And we're going to sit down and figure this out like adults. With or without you. She hung up. I stood there holding the phone, watching rain streak down the glass. My youngest son, 21, cutting short his semester to come home. My daughter, sacrificing study time during finals. My oldest son, caught between his father and his career. I thought I was protecting what was mine. Instead, I was tearing apart what mattered most. Blake requested a meeting through his attorney. Neutral ground, a conference room at a downtown law firm. Michelle insisted on coming. I didn't object. We arrived separately. Blake was already there, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Kellerman, sat beside him with a stack of folders that probably cost 6 figures to compile. Michelle took the seat across from Blake. I sat at the head of the table. Thank you for coming, Patricia began. My client would like to. Save it, I said. Blake can speak for himself. Blake straightened slightly. Greg, I want to apologize. When Michelle sent me those files, I didn't realize what I was looking at. I thought they were general reference materials. You knew exactly what they were. I knew they were technical documentation. I didn't know they were proprietary architecture covered under licensing agreements. You responded, "This is gold," in your email. That doesn't sound like someone looking at reference materials. He flinched. Poor choice of words. I meant it would help us avoid common mistakes. By copying my exact methodology. Patricia intervened. Mr. Lansing, my client, is prepared to offer substantial compensation. A licensing agreement with retroactive payments, equity in Velocity Hub, and a seat on the board. How substantial? She slid a paper across the table. I glanced at the number. $15 million, plus 3% equity. That's what you think my work is worth? I asked. 15 million and pocket change. It's a starting point, Patricia said smoothly. We're open to negotiation. Here's my counteroffer. I leaned forward. You shut down Velocity Hub, return all investor capital with interest, and Blake publicly admits to IP theft. Blake went pale. That would destroy my reputation. You destroyed it yourself. Greg, please. Michelle's voice cut through. Think about Liam. Think about Emma's investment. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about what it teaches them if their father lets someone steal his life's work without consequences. What about what it teaches them if their father destroys their futures for revenge? She shot back. Blake spoke up, voice shaking slightly. What if I step down, resign as CEO, give up my equity, publicly state that the company was built on licensed technology? License from whom? From you. We restructure the company with you as the majority owner. You get control, I get nothing. He met my eyes. But the company survives. The employees keep their jobs. Your son keeps his career. It was a better offer than I expected. Smart even. Blake would lose everything, but Velocity Hub would continue under my control. There's one condition, I said. Name it. Michelle resigns. Immediately. No severance. No equity. No ties to the company. Michelle's head snapped up. What? You enabled this. You gave him the ammunition to build a fraud. You put our children's money and futures into it without telling me. I kept my eyes on Blake. She leaves, or the company dies. Your choice. Blake looked at Michelle, then back at me. His face hardened. I can't accept that, he said quietly. Then we're done here. Patricia tried to intervene, but I was already standing. Michelle grabbed my arm. Greg, you can't do this. Watch me. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Blake's voice, low and defeated. I'll draft the resignation letter. Michelle's response was sharp, angry, but I didn't stay to hear it. I'd won, but somehow, it didn't feel like victory. They all came home the next evening. Liam from Chicago, Emma from Stanford, Lucas from Boulder. I heard them arrive while I was in my study, their voices in the foyer mixing with Michelle's. Not warm reunion voices. Strategy session voices. Lucas found me first. My youngest, 21, with Michelle's eyes and my stubborn streak. He didn't knock, just walked in and closed the door behind him. Dad. Lucas. I stood, moved to hug him, but he held up a hand. I'm not here for a hug. I'm here because my father is destroying our family, and someone needs to tell him he's being an idiot. That's direct. Yeah. Well, I learned from the best. He dropped into the chair across from my desk. Emma filled me in on everything. The stolen architecture, Mom's emails, Blake's fraud, all of it. Then you understand why I'm doing this. I understand why you're angry. I don't understand why you're taking a sledgehammer to everyone around you. He leaned forward. Liam's engaged, Dad. To Sarah. She works in Velocity Hub's marketing department. They met 2 years ago, fell in love at the company Christmas party. If you destroy Velocity Hub, you don't just kill Liam's career, you kill his relationship. He didn't tell me he was engaged, because he knew you'd find a way to ruin it. Lucas's voice was sharp. You've been doing that a lot lately. Finding ways to ruin things. That's not fair, isn't it? You've been planning this for 8 months. 8 months, Dad. You had time to talk to us, to warn us, to give us a chance to protect ourselves. Instead, you just decided we were collateral damage. I was trying to protect you from knowing your mother betrayed us. No. Lucas stood. You were protecting your ego. Mom screwed up, yeah. But instead of handling it like an adult, talking to her, going to therapy, finding a solution, you went nuclear. And now we're all paying for it. The door opened. Emma and Liam walked in, united front. Emma carried a laptop. Liam had a folder thick with papers. We're having a family meeting, Emma said, not asking. All of us. Right now. We moved to the living room. Michelle was already there, standing by the window, arms wrapped around herself. She looked smaller than I'd seen her in years. Emma set up her laptop on the coffee table. I've spent the last 3 days analyzing Velocity Hub's financials, investor documents, and code repository. Here's what I found. She pulled up a presentation. Slides full of numbers, charts, commit logs. Blake's company is worth $450 million on paper. But here's the thing, 90% of that valuation is based on the back-end architecture. Dad's architecture. She clicked to the next slide. If you pull the IP claim, the company's worth drops to maybe $40 million, which means every investor, every employee stock option, every venture capital fund, they all lose about 90% of their investment. That's not my problem, I said. It becomes your problem when those investors sue you. Liam cut in. He opened his folder. I've been talking to Velocity Hub's legal team. If you destroy the company through an IP claim, there's precedent for investors to sue the IP holder for tortious interference. I own the IP, but you waited 8 months to enforce it, during which time the company raised $90 million from investors who had no idea the technology was disputed. Liam's voice was calm, professional. A good lawyer could argue you knowingly allowed fraud to continue, making you complicit. You could be liable for damages. I looked at him. My son, 25 years old, using his business acumen to threaten me. Are you seriously threatening to help investors sue your own father? I'm trying to save you from yourself. He met my eyes. Sarah and I are getting married next June. I want you there, Dad. But if you destroy the company where we met, where we built our careers, where we're planning our future, I don't know if I can have you at the wedding. That hit like a punch to the chest. Lucas spoke up. Emma invested 50 grand. That's her entire safety net. Liam's career is on the line. I'm a junior in college, and my last name is becoming a joke in tech circles. Do you know what it's like having your classmates ask if your dad is the guy trying to destroy an innovative startup? It's not innovative if it's built on theft. Then make them pay for it. Emma's voice rose. License the technology, take a percentage, get board seats, whatever. But don't burn it all down and take us with it. Michelle finally spoke, voice barely above a whisper. I was wrong, Greg. I know that now. I gave Blake those files thinking I was helping him, not realizing I was stealing from you. It was stupid and selfish, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it. No, but maybe this does. She pulled out papers of her own. I'm giving up my equity in Velocity Hub. All of it. Transferring it to you. And I'm resigning, effective immediately. Blake already accepted my resignation letter. I stared at her. When did you do this? This morning. After Blake told me about your meeting. She set the papers on the table. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I won't let my mistake destroy our children's futures. The room was silent. 3 kids watching their parents, waiting to see what would happen next. Emma closed her laptop. Dad, Blake offered to give you the entire company. Take it. Run it yourself. Put your name on it. Show the world that you built the foundation. But don't destroy it and everyone who depends on it, including your sister who invested her life savings, Liam added. And your son who's getting married, Lucas finished. They coordinated this, rehearsed their arguments, divided their roles. They were good at this. I taught them well, maybe too well. I didn't sleep that night. Sat in my study until 3 a.m., reviewing everything. The documents, the code, the emails, the faces of my children asking me to choose them over justice. At dawn, I called my attorney. Draw up the papers, I said. I'm taking Blake's offer. Full ownership transfer. Yes, but add one condition. Michelle's equity gets transferred to Emma. All of it. That's not what Blake proposed. It's what I'm proposing. Michelle gives up her stake, Emma gets it back, plus interest. And I want a public statement from Blake acknowledging the IP theft. He'll agree to that. He doesn't have a choice. The papers were ready by noon. I called Blake and told him to meet me at Sentinel Properties' main office. Not his territory, not neutral ground. Mine. He arrived with his attorney. Michelle came too, even though I hadn't asked her to. We sat in the conference room overlooking downtown Seattle. Papers spread across the table. Everything's here, Patricia Kellerman said. Ownership transfer, your equity distribution changes, the public statement. Blake signs, you sign, and Velocity Hub becomes yours. Blake looked at Michelle. You're really giving up everything. It's the right thing to do, Michelle said quietly. Your wife's equity goes to Emma, I told Blake. Her investment gets paid back tenfold when this company succeeds. Consider it restitution. Blake nodded slowly. Fair enough. Anything else? One more thing. I slid a final document across the table. This is a termination letter. For you. Blake's face went white. You said if I signed, I could stay on as advisor. I lied. I kept my voice level. You built a company on stolen work, lied to investors, and manipulated my wife into being complicit. You don't get to walk away with a consulting gig and a golden parachute. You get nothing but your name on a public admission of fraud. Patricia started to object, but Blake raised his hand. It's fine. He looked at me, something like respect in his eyes. I deserve it. Yes, you do. He signed. Every page, every clause, every admission. When he was done, he stood and offered his hand. I didn't take it. My son works for you, I said. Liam Lansing. Make sure he's treated well under the new management. Your son. Blake's face registered surprise, then understanding. I didn't know. He never said. He shouldn't have to. He earned his position. He did. He's one of the best strategists we have. Blake paused at the door. For what it's worth, Greg, I really did think the work was abandoned. That doesn't excuse what I did, but I didn't set out to steal from you. Yes, you did. You just didn't think I'd notice. He left without another word. Michelle stood. What happens now? Now you move out. I'll have my attorney draw up separation papers. Greg, 26 years, Michelle. We had 26 good years. Then you chose career advancement over our marriage. I could forgive a lot of things, but not that. She nodded, eyes wet. The kids. We'll understand. Eventually. I softened slightly. I'm not keeping them from you. But I can't live with someone who valued money over family. I never valued money over family. You gave our daughter's money to a fraud. You put our son's career at risk. You did all of it for equity in a company you knew was built on my work. I stood. That's the definition of valuing money over family. She left quietly. No arguments, no tears. Just acceptance. Patricia gathered her papers. You'll need to address the employees. Announce the transition. Schedule it for tomorrow. I want Liam in the room when I do it. Understood. She paused. This was the right call, Mr. Lansing. Then why does it feel like I lost? She smiled sadly. Because you're a father before you're a businessman. That's not a weakness. After she left, I stood at the window, watching the city wake up. I'd won. Destroyed Blake, protected my children, reclaimed my work. But my marriage was over. My wife was moving out. And my youngest son still thought I was the villain. Victory had never tasted so bitter. 3 months later, Velocity Hub was running smoother than it ever had under Blake. I'd restructured operations, brought in new management, and started steering the company toward legitimate innovation instead of borrowed brilliance. Liam stayed on, got another promotion, and slowly started speaking to me again. Emma's investment had already doubled in value. Lucas came home for Thanksgiving. Michelle moved to a condo downtown. We'd signed divorce papers 2 weeks after the ownership transfer. 26 years of marriage ended with signatures and a handshake from lawyers. She didn't fight for alimony, didn't contest the settlement. Just took what was fair and left quietly. The kids split their time between us. Holidays were awkward, birthdays even worse. But we managed. I was in my office at Velocity Hub when my receptionist buzzed. Mr. Lansing, there's someone here to see you. She says it's personal. Who? Her name is Catherine Brennan. I didn't know any Catherine Brennan. Send her in. The woman who walked through my door was about 50, well-dressed, carrying herself with the confidence of someone who'd fought battles and won. She had dark hair streaked with gray and eyes that looked familiar in a way I couldn't place. Mr. Lansing. She extended her hand. Thank you for seeing me without an appointment. I don't think we've met. We haven't. But we have a connection you don't know about. She sat without being invited. 28 years ago, you dated a woman named Sarah Brennan. You were together for 2 years before you met Michelle. The name hit me like cold water. Sarah. My college girlfriend, the one I'd loved before Michelle came along. We'd broken up when I moved to Seattle for a startup job. Lost touch completely. What about Sarah? I asked carefully. Sarah was my sister. Catherine's voice was steady. She passed away 4 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. I didn't know. No reason you would. You two hadn't spoken in decades. She opened her purse, pulled out an envelope. Before she died, Sarah gave me this. Made me promise to deliver it if I ever had the chance. I took the envelope. My name, in handwriting I barely remembered. She also asked me to tell you something. Catherine met my eyes. You have a son. His name is James Brennan. He's 27 years old. The room tilted. What? Sarah found out she was pregnant 3 weeks after you moved to Seattle. She tried to call you, but your number had changed. She wrote letters. but you'd moved apartments. Catherine's voice softened. Then she saw an announcement in a tech magazine. You and Michelle, newly engaged. She decided not to interfere. She was pregnant with my child and didn't tell me. She tried, Greg, but you moved on. And she didn't want to be the woman who trapped you with a baby when you'd found someone else. My hands were shaking. Why are you telling me this now? Because James deserves to know his father. And because Sarah's dying wish was that you two meet. Catherine stood. He doesn't know I'm here. Doesn't know I tracked you down. But he knows about you. Sarah told him everything before she passed. Where is he? Boston. He's a software engineer. Works for a cybersecurity firm. Smart kid. Has your eyes. Sarah's determination. She handed me a business card. That's his email and phone number. Whether you reach out is up to you. She left before I could ask more questions. I sat there, holding the envelope and the business card. A son. I had another son, 27 years old, who'd grown up without me. While I was building CoreStream, raising Liam, creating a life with Michelle, somewhere in Boston a boy was growing up wondering about his father. I opened the envelope. Sarah's letter, dated 3 years before she died. Greg, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I want you to know I never regretted keeping James. He was the best thing in my life. But I always regretted that you never got to know him. He's brilliant, kind, and stubborn just like you. Please, if Catherine finds you, give him a chance. He deserves a father. You deserve a son who chose to find you. Sarah. I picked up my phone, stared at James's number. 27 years. I'd missed his entire life. But maybe I didn't have to miss the rest of it. I dialed. 8 months later, Liam stood at the altar in a vineyard outside Seattle. Sarah beside him in a dress that cost more than my first car. The ceremony was beautiful, traditional, everything a wedding should be. Michelle sat 3 rows behind me with her new boyfriend, some consultant she'd met at a networking event. We'd exchanged polite nods before the ceremony, nothing more. The divorce had been finalized 4 months ago. Lucas sat to my left, Emma to my right. And on Emma's other side, James Brennan, my son, meeting his half-siblings for the first time at a wedding. It had taken 3 months of phone calls before James agreed to meet me in person. Coffee in Boston, awkward and tentative. He looked like Sarah, but he had my jawline in my hands. We talked for 4 hours about his childhood, his mother, the questions he'd always had about where he came from. I told him about CoreStream, about building something from nothing, about how I wished I'd known, how I would have been there if I could have. He didn't forgive me. Not right away, but he didn't shut me out either. She made me promise not to contact you, he'd said that day. Mom said you had your own family, your own life. She didn't want to complicate it. She should have told me anyway. Maybe, but she did what she thought was right. He looked at me across that coffee shop table. I'm not looking for a father, Greg. I'm 27. I raised myself. But I'm willing to get to know the man who gave me half my DNA. That was 8 months ago. Since then, we talked every week. He met Emma first, then Lucas. Liam had been harder to convince, still processing everything that had happened with Velocity Hub and his parents' divorce. But eventually, he'd agreed to meet his older half-brother. Now they were all here, at Liam's wedding, a family reassembled from broken pieces. The reception was at the same vineyard. Liam and Sarah's first dance, speeches from friends, Emma's toast that made everyone cry. I stayed toward the back, nursing whiskey, watching my children laugh together. James approached, holding a beer. Hell of a party. Liam did well for himself. So did you. He gestured toward the dance floor, where all 3 of my legitimate children were dancing together. They're good people. Their mother raised them well. So did mine. He took a drink. Look, I know this is weird. Me being here, meeting everyone like this. But Emma invited me, and I figured it was time. I'm glad you came. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the party. Then James said, Sarah left me letters. One for every birthday she knew she'd miss. I opened the one for my 27th last month. What did it say? That she hoped I'd found you. That she hoped you were everything she remembered. He looked at me. She said you were the most honest man she'd ever met. That you built things instead of taking them. That you fought fair and loved hard. She was generous. She was honest. He finished his beer. I don't need a father, Greg. But I could use a friend who understands what it's like to build something from nothing. Someone who gets that sometimes the foundation matters more than the finish. I understood. He was offering me a relationship on his terms. Not son and father, but 2 men who shared DNA and history, figuring out what that meant. "I'd like that," I said. Later, as the party wound down, Liam found me. His tie was loose, jacket gone, the happiest I'd seen him in years. "Thanks for coming, Dad. Wouldn't have missed it. I mean it. After everything that happened, I wasn't sure you'd show up." He glanced toward James, who was talking with Lucas. "Or that you'd bring him. He's your brother, half-brother, who I just met 6 months ago." Liam shook his head. "Our family's complicated. Most families are. Yeah, but ours is like a tech startup. Failed first version, massive pivot, and now we're trying to scale the rebuild." He smiled. "Think we'll make it. I think we'll try. That's all anyone can do." He hugged me, quick and tight, then went back to his bride. I left soon after, driving home alone to the house that used to hold the family. Emma had moved to San Francisco for a job. Lucas was back at Boulder. Liam had his own life now. But I had James's number on my phone. Velocity Hub was thriving under my leadership. And somewhere in the city, Michelle was building a new life too. I'd won the war against Blake, lost my marriage, found a son I never knew existed, and somehow ended up with a family that looked nothing like the one I'd planned, but felt more honest than anything I'd built before. 12 months ago, I dropped a badge at a company party. That single moment had unraveled everything and rebuilt it into something I didn't recognize. But standing in my quiet house, looking at photos of 4 children instead of 3, I realized something. Sometimes you have to burn the foundation to discover what's really holding you up. And sometimes, that's exactly what you need.